evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
And thank you for joining us again at our quarterly meeting. Judging by your faces, I see that you're satisfied with some of the best hors d'oeuvres and entrees and some of the finest brandy and some of the most finest and choice cigars. But now it's time to address many of the items on our itinerary. And so in our last quarterly meeting, we were discussing the different objectives and mission statements and goals and plans on our quest for global domination and global control. So what I'm going to do is have a little recap, a little refresher. I know many of you were probably enjoying the spoils of our last meeting and implementing the plans and seeing them successfully bear fruit. So let me jump right into this. We've privatized the prisons and we've kept it raw. We've incarcerated the militants and the radicals, and we've killed the activists, and we've locked up the poor. We've had the media call them super gangsters and super thugs and super Negroes, never allowing them one chance to think of themselves as superheroes. Only super predators that are super black, and they damn sure better not mention anything about our super money inside of our super PACs. Meanwhile, globally, the mantra is maintain a state of war, perpetual crisis, a continuum of conflict, like bombings here and hijackings there, and the threat level is here and suicide bombers there, and we've got hostages here and kidnappings there and raids over here and beheadings over there. We've kept the nations intoxicated on hysteria and fear and paranoia because they bolster the state of surveillance and the war industry economy, in which we have much of our money and wealth tied into the stakes and the stocks of the companies that oversee this. We've taken the revenue and capital and we've hidden it into our own established tax havens and offshore tax shelters to hide our trappings and wealth. You know, many of you, I've seen many of you at the same banks in the Canary Islands and Swiss bank accounts and Luxembourg and the Caymans. Mr. Catherberry, I actually saw you at the counter with me in the Virgin Islands, so I know that this has been very fruitful for you. Meanwhile, we'll raise the taxes on the citizens and raise the cost of living just to the point of survival. Because we always need customers and we always need workers, but we don't need competition. And it's time for expansion. This is what we call Darwinian capitalism. And first we have to gentrify their asses out of our cities. This is New Millennium Manifest destiny. Carve the cities up into zones and redistrict. Redistribute the wealth accordingly and then restrict. We flood the communities with cops and police to patrol and keep law and order. Some of you have closed the public schools and privatized education for profit. You've given contracts to business associates and friends, and they're too unempowered to stop it. This is what we've been looking for, the vision, the conquest, the marriage of government with the corporate elite, and we give birth to power. We have our lobbyists, purchase and control officials that are elected by the citizens. We have ghost-written legislation slipped into their bills. We generate and create these laws that protect and insulate our corporate powers and interests, and they guarantee uninterrupted revenue with impunity. For they elect the president's name and we select the president's game. And next, we control their music industry, the soundtrack to their indoctrination and their behavioral patterns, their psychological thought process. Through that, we subconsciously control their behavior in society, and we build and sculpt policies around their behavior. We've showered and sprinkled money and attention on their pastors and their reverends and ministers and bishops. All of them have churches on every block, and it's okay because we know that once we control the shepherd, we now automatically control the flock. And we know how Negroes love symbolism. So we'll periodically get on camera with them and let them teach us how to freestyle or do the nay-nay and teach us how to dab and how to break dance. All of this is done just to gain their trust and political confidence, and meanwhile in the background we craft laws that prey on their incompetence. And under their nose we buy up all the land and property, and they're too high on our drugs to see this is real life monopoly. We control the land and control the water and control the rivers and the lakes and the streams and the wells, the aquifers, the agriculture, the seeds, the harvest, the produce, the farms, the orchards, the vineyards. We control everything from the soil to what you put in them. We keep them impoverished in a system of debt, from spending any and all money on jewelry, fashion, and chasing the high life as they try to resemble my life. Keep them fighting and killing and robbing for paper money, because that's only currency. It's not real wealth. We create the fiat currency of the day, of the choice, and let them fight and kill over it. It's a fictional representation of wealth, and if they knew what real wealth was, what we go to war for, what we send our drones for, our fleets of ships and our B-52 bombers and our hundreds of thousands of troops, the drones, the Marines and the Navy and the Coast Guards and the Green Berets, and this is all wonderful. But we go to war for real wealth. We're talking the diamonds, land, gold, oil, minerals, precious metals, arable land, geographical terrain. That's the real wealth. Not the dollar, not the euro. We make that. We print that. We print as much as we have paper and ink for, and let them kill. Let them kill for that paper currency because it's good for business. For someone has to die and someone has to go to jail, so it keeps our private prisons filled, and it steadily reduces the population into a manageable number without our fingerprints being left at the scene of the crime. And by any and all means, and I want you guys to listen well, by any and all means, keep them distracted. We can't afford to have a black messiah. We can't afford to have anybody aware, conscious, or awakened. We don't need human alarm clocks that try to wake up the masses, rouse the public. No rebel rousers. We need them distracted. We must control their attention. Once they figure out what we're up to, we're going to be on the chase. We'll be hunted. So we have to tap on Hollywood and tap on the radio stations, tap on the music industry, and tap on social media, tap on our fellow friends in the news. That if they ever become awakened, we release the next season of, or the next grand finale of their favorite reality show or drama series, and manufacture debate. We manufacture controversy, manufacture gossip. We flood the headlines with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, Amber Rose and Beyonce and Jay-Z, and reintroduce Bill Cosby and a sports scandal, or a natural disaster, or the latest Twitter war and Facebook posts, the latest rap beef. Release racy naked photos of celebrities they idolize. Release the latest blockbuster movie of the decade, and keep the police-involved shootings and killings rolling because it makes for good press. Remember, if it bleeds, then it leads. But damn it, keep them distracted. I want them disoriented. I want them disconnected from our affairs. They can never know. I don't care if you have to put drugs in the hands of their babies. I want them distracted and sedated by all means. We know they know about the CIA and the Contras in Nicaragua and Ricky Ross. I don't give a damn. I want drugs in their community. Keep them loaded with crack and cocaine and heroin and ecstasy and Molly and K2 and spice and bath salts and crocodile and flocka and PCP and meth and the latest designer drug that our scientists and chemists can cook up in the laboratory and redistribute through each and all urban nexus. I want them so spaced out. I want them doped up. I want them so doped up that they can't even think of change and revolution. I want change and revolution to be the last thing on their minds. Therefore, we can continue business as usual and uninterrupted. And as the time slowly ticks, we will have them under our control, and we will be the masters of the universe. We shall manifest what has been destined and preordained for us. Complete control, complete domination. So this is what we discussed in our prior meeting. And many of you are putting this into play and into practice, and I'm seeing this. We have our think tanks constantly monitoring the news, the video feeds, internet posts on social media. We're doing a good job. The next item on our agenda, we'll be discussing digitization and robotics and automation and software and computers, because that will be the nail in the coffin as they are complaining about immigrants and migrants taking their jobs. Will push the common man out and bring in the migrant for a lower wage. That way we save money on our payroll expenses. And then we'll usher the migrant immigrant work out, and we'll bring in our robotics, our digitization, our automation, our software, and our computers to replace them, and therefore we won't have to pay anything. All payroll expenses will be converted to instant revenue. And it's not a human rights violation because robots and automation are not living creatures. So it's not a human rights violation. We just must keep 10 steps ahead of them to outsmart them at all cost. So this concludes the first segment of our plenary session. Tomorrow we'll reconvene. You can go back to your hors d'oeuvres and entrees and the finest brandy and cigars. There's some very beautiful women on the floor number 3 that I know some of you are very interested in. No recording devices. You will be strip searched before leaving, and we will be checking for recording devices. And this is only for our insurance, as you understand. And with that said, gentlemen, you have a very exciting evening.